Mental illness, depression, suicidal behavior. These are just some of the dangers of using marijuana. Yet the federal government is considering a move that will make the drug even more accessible.
The DEA's plan will also give an economic boost to businesses that sell marijuana. CBN News medical reporter Lorie Johnson explains.
In early December, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency will hear testimony on whether the federal government should reclassify marijuana as a Schedule III drug with moderate to low potential for dependency. Drugs include heroin, ecstasy, LSD, and currently marijuana. A downgrade to Schedule III would put it alongside of anabolic steroids, ketamine, and Tylenol with codeine. One notable impact would be the enormous financial benefit to the $30 billion marijuana industry. That's because the 15,000 dispensaries in states where pot is legal would then be allowed to deduct major business expenses from their federal taxes, allowing them to use that windfall to expand their reach.
They're selling addiction to make money, and they don't give a damn about the public.
David Evans will testify against the move at the DEA hearing by suggesting the government is ignoring pot's dangers.
In the case of marijuana, the FDA is not going to have to study it at all.
Evans will point to today's high THC concentration in the drug and its well-documented link to psychosis.
We're now seeing a lot of that. It causes mental illness, depression, suicidal behavior.
One example is Zach Plant, who was diagnosed with cannabis-induced psychosis after his marijuana use caused him to lose touch with reality while experiencing hallucinations, delusions, and paranoia.
I had thoughts of other people wanting to hurt me, thoughts of the only way of, being safe was to end my own life.
While his symptoms didn't last, doctors gave Zach a warning.
If you smoke marijuana again, there's a chance that you don't come out of psychosis.
Zach's not alone. Doctors regularly see the dark side of marijuana use.
As it became legal, definitely saw more delirium, hallucinations, paranoia as being side effects of this. And then even just normal depression, anxiety.
Also severe vomiting, heart and lung complications, sexual dysfunction, and stomach paralysis.
They would come in and have long bouts of being unable to eat. This would last for 3 or 4 days, and it was well known that it was due to marijuana.
Armed with these and similar stories, David Evans and others will object to the DEA's plan, which would loosen economic restrictions on those who sell it.
It's a political, financial move to cater to the marijuana industry and to young people.
The reclassification process will take months to complete. It's unclear whether the incoming Trump administration will call for a shift in DEA priorities, which could put the move on hold. Lorie Johnson, CBN News.
Let's take a little lesson in history, and you go back to the shamans, and all cultures seem to have them in the ancient world, and we've had archaeological evidence that the shamans were quite familiar with marijuana. They would have satchels of that. When you look at the Hindu religion and what the gurus are doing, they're smoking ganja, and they're doing it to try to get some kind of revelation. But in that historical account, you look at Homer and the Odyssey, and Odysseus gets trapped in the land of the lotus eaters. And it's a bad place for him. It's not a good place. It's a place where you have drug-induced hallucinations. And so within the Greek civilization, that was condemned. And it sort of went away from this other sort of let's have everybody do it. The Bible talks about this, and this may be a surprise to you, but let's just look at the book of Revelation. And one of the ends of the mystery Babylon, that city that corrupts the whole earth, one of the consequences of their actions is they get thrown down. And here it is in Revelation 18, verse 23. The light of a lamp shall not shine in you anymore, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall not be heard in you anymore. So there's a great darkness. There's no longer any marriage, any thought of family. Your merchants were the great men of the earth, and so there was great trade and great wealth, but all of it got squandered. And here's the reason. For by your sorcery, all the nations were deceived. Now, you read that in English, and you're thinking some kind of, well, it's some kind of idolatry or it's some kind of witchcraft. Well, the underlying word for that is pharmakia. That's the Greek word behind sorcery. And so it ties it back to these shamans who would use trance-inducing, spell-binding drugs in order to have influence over people. So what's going to happen to America when we become under the spell of a drug, where we're constantly looking for the next high? When I was growing up, it was called the counterculture. These days, has it become our culture? And if it has, are we prepared for the end result? Or are we going to be a nation where the light no longer shines, where there's no more joy in marriage, there's no more bridegroom, and there's no more bride? Are we heading to destruction? I think the pathway is quite clear, and let's sound the alarm that this isn't a way forward. You look back again in history, what happened in China when the opium trade was enforced by 3 opium wars, and Great Britain and her allies ganging up on China to keep the opium markets open. It's an horrific history. China calls it their lost century, that because so many people became drug addicted, they weren't able to advance as a culture. Let's wake up to the history. Let's wake up to what we're getting ready to do to ourselves. And let's just look at the English word for marijuana. There's a reason we call it